Welcome to Front Range Facts. This is Anthony Meisner.
And this is Jim Marion.
We're here to bring you your Colorado update for the month of October.
Yeah, we got our friends at Showing Time just giving us some data here showing what the national showing index looks like versus the state level, or the regional western level. And we're not performing as well as the rest of the nation is when it comes to showings.
It's a little slower here.
A little slower.
Yeah, by more than 50%. So that's fun. What about this one? Okay, so this is Showing Time. This one, they kind of put this out during the pandemic to kind of, measure year over year or whatever. But what you can really see is showings are still trending seasonally.
Mm-hmm.
They're just not as many of them. But we started the year with less showings.
Yeah.
So it tracks like 2021. Our seasonality shows really well in here. You can see that basically if you got a house on the market, you've got all the way through about Halloween to get it sold. And you don't really have a huge slowdown until you get the cliff around the holidays, right?
Yeah, it's interesting though. Thanksgiving is always a really bad time. New Year's is a really bad time, and in between there, you actually see a pretty good spike in showing activity, remarkably. And it is also based upon what kind of product you have. So like smaller condos, things like that are always year round. The more starter type of properties always year round.
Luxury, same thing.
Yeah, but then you have the other ones that are more focused on that kind of school year calendar or whatever else. And so it's a little bit different there, but we are tracking very well with 2021, which was a very low inventory year, just like we were facing right now. So I think that's part of why that pattern is such as it is.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this one's fun. Where'd you pick these up?
Well, this was by Axios. I pulled this off of some Redfin data that they had, and what was remarkable to me was the share of homes that go off market within 2 weeks by Metro Division. And when you look at all the largest, 50 marketplaces out there, we're number 14 as far as how quickly homes are moving off the market. 51%. Yeah, 51% are off the market within 2 weeks. I think that's, again, just indicative of the fact that there is not a lot of inventory here. It's not about, quantity of buyers. It's about the quality. And the ones that are coming in the door are very, very aggressive.
Yeah, they are. This one is amazing. So this is on tax data.
Yeah.
So this is just crazy.
Well,
we are absolutely in one of the lowest states for property taxes, right? I just didn't realize that, I kind of understand, right? We've seen our property tax bills, but look how high some of these states are. I did not realize 3+% in some states.
Well, we've just gone through, this new tax cycle. In Colorado, every 2 years, every odd number year, we get reassessed from the tax man about what our property's valued at. And, a lot of us agents out there, we're trying to help our clients, fight that during the assessment period to do appeals, right? And there was a lot of lamenting about, oh my God, how much of our property taxes have gone up on, Facebook groups everywhere and stuff like that. But put it in perspective, everybody. We are really, really low compared to a lot of the marketplaces in the country.
Right. And that's just going to bring more and more of that buyer demand, people coming from out of state to Colorado, because it really is, even though the prices might be higher, it's still pretty affordable as far as the tax bills, right?
The tax bills are not bad, especially, you go to other states where it's, $1,000-$2,000 a month you're paying in taxes.
It's insane.
Yeah.
All right. What about this? So this is temporary buy downs. This means like if you're going to buy a house right now, use a 2-1 buy down. It buys down interest rate for two points the first year and 1 point the second year. That'd be kind of like what one of these products look like.
Yeah. So it's a sell concession.
Wow.
Yeah. And what I found remarkable about this was, if you look at 1990 to today, as far as which states have appreciated the most, Utah is number 1, Colorado is number 2, and coincidentally, we're also the 2 states using that buy down much more than others. But I don't understand why. There's no rhyme or reason. Every state right now with an 8% or 7.8% interest rate, whatever it is.
They should absolutely all be using these. And honestly, in our local market, it was like 25% of loans had buyer, or 25%.
Yeah, we'll cover that in the next episode too. Yeah,
it's bizarre.
Yeah, we're Boulder County, where the costs are higher. It's being used literally 1 out of 4 transactions right now. So to sit statewide at 6% is super low, but then we look at it nationally, it's like, wow, we're doing pretty good with that. I mean, this is the number 1 tool in the quiver to really, get buyers on board, is help reduce the pain point of those high interest rates. Use that concession.
Right. All right. So take a look at this. This is state of Colorado data. I think one of the most important things to be looking at here is our new listing activity is down by like 10%, right? Those golden handcuffs that people have because they have a lower interest rate makes them not want to move because maybe they're not able to move. And that's really shrinking that supply of listings coming to market. So I think that's probably the most important thing that's happening. The buyer shrink is obviously happening too, because the pendings under our contracts are down by 12.5% or so. but largely also could be due to there's not as much inventory out there available.
Well, and that's where that 21% drop in, total sold, right? You look year to date at, what the sales are, and we're down basically in sold listings at 21%, essentially statewide. What's remarkable though is anytime you see a 21% drop in volume, you'd think there'd be a drop in price of more, but here we basically have a median sale price that's only gone down 1.7%. So the prices have continued to be buffered by the fact that nobody is selling.
The craziest part of this entire thing in Colorado is that the housing affordability index, 100 is like their baseline.
Yeah.
We're in the 40s now, right? I mean, this is brutal at this point.
Yeah.
And that's largely due to interest rates at this point in time. But the other thing here that I think was worth pointing out, the active units of inventory are down by about 15% this year. That's also pretty fascinating compared to this time last year. All right, so let's look at townhouse condo. The only major differences in townhouse condo is new listing activity is really similar, maybe not year to date, but for the last month, we had some pretty good stuff, right? Things had already slowed down this time last year. We're starting to see that. And then look at the average and the median sales price here. Over the last year-over-year numbers from August to August, they were up like 8.5%, 4.5%. People that are getting pushed into these townhouse condo products because, interest rates are high, payments are high. These are doing remarkably better than the detached product.
Well, the weird thing is the sold listings overall, year to date are down 22%. And this is most likely people who are more sensitive to interest rates, but like Anthony was saying, there is the whole push down market where people were going for higher homes, and so they have to go to lower. You would think then that would drive more sales of townhomes and condos because it's a broader market now that's looking to buy those. But it's being, I guess, negatively reinforced by the fact that there's a lot of people who now are being priced out, period, because of interest rates.
Yeah, so look at the month supply of inventory here. We only have 2 months of inventory. Nationally, we're at about a 3.3 average here. In Colorado, 2.3 average. We're substantially less inventory than most of the country.
Yeah.
All right, so what about pendings, Jim?
Well, we got less of year to date, significant drop, and that's of course then going to feed the sold data, right? So that's where the continued less demand of pendings under contracts is going to equal then 30, 60 days later less in the way of sales. So it's not so surprising to see that, but it is a pretty significant drop over looking at it from past years.
Yeah, and I think the one thing you want to compare this to is this is a good comparison slide, right? So we're feeling much more like a 2011 market, maybe 2012 at best.
Yeah.
So it's very slow comparatively for our total transaction volumes.
Yeah.
But look at this, average sales price doesn't seem to be trending in the same way, right?
Correct. Yeah, and I mean, there's a lot of sales in the higher end where prices have gone up across the board and everything, and so I think that's really what's buffered that average sale price to remain very high.
I think so. If you look at percentage listed sale price, I think this one's a little deceptive though. We talk about this quite a bit here at Land Title because our listed sale price is 99%, right?
Yeah.
And so we're seasonally right where we probably should be for a lot of these things.
Correct. For normal years.
Yeah, for normal years. But the big difference is all these concessions don't get factored into this, right?
Correct.
So there's so many concessions taking place that it keeps this a little off kilter, right?
No, it's a good point.
I think we really need to remember that 40% of transactions last month that came into Land Title had some sort of concession attached to them.
And since Land Title really is about 50% market share right now statewide, well not statewide but in the region, that is let's take it as the industry number essentially for right now. So 40%.
Yeah, we're confident with as much as we do, even statewide, that's really where we're at. Days on market until sale. So this is like basically how fast is the market going, right? So when we talk about days on market, we talk about active to under contract time. It's 41 days right now, substantially different than the last couple of years. But look at where we are, in historical perspective. It feels like about 2014, 2015, something like that. And if you remember back that long ago, those were pretty good real estate markets, right? Yeah. So it's still good. You could absolutely still sell a home in this market. It's just a little bit tougher because we have less buyers, but it's finally slowing down just a little
bit. Well, and Anthony, comparing it to like 2014, like you did, I think one thing I'd point out to people just at home is that this is a really goofy market. I mean, every slide we talk about, there's different metrics of different comparative years, whereas a lot of times when we've done the show in the past, it was always tracking one particular year in a lot of cases. Right. So we're seeing different elements, from different years playing a role here that make everything confusing, I think, for everybody that's involved here.
Absolutely. Well, when we just have low inventory and low buyer demand, we've never been in that position before, right? I mean, I think the last time we've really truly been in a market like that was probably back in the 80s. Mm-hmm. And since we're not in a market like that normally, this is kind of new for us all to kind of pay attention to.
Absolutely.
take a look at this. This is active units of inventory, just like we talked about, right? We're looking back and we just don't have enough inventory out there available. We were obviously in the unicorn years in 21 and 22 at the beginning. There was no inventory. Things are slowly changing, but it's not like we have inventory piling up, right?
No. And remember, 6 months of inventory basically is a balanced market, and that, this thing begins in 2010. And that's about when we were last in a balanced market.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks for joining us for the Colorado section today. I'm Anthony at Land Title. You can always reach me on my cell, 303-968-9868, or amizner@ltgc.com.
And I'm Jim Marion, realtor here at Coldwell Banker, 303-548-0243, or jim@ourcoloradohomes.com. And don't forget, this is our state show, and we also have one for the local market as well as the national update.
Catch you next time.
Take care.